Now, as the cost of living climbs, government has made a choice that might lower the price of chicken, at least. The Department of Trade and Industry has suspended anti-dumping duties, which means that chicken imports from the likes of Brazil, Denmark, Ireland, Poland and Spain will not be charged extra tariffs for bringing in cheaper chicken. It's been described as a win for consumers and it's been applauded by chicken importers, but not everybody is happy. We're joined by the General Manager at the SA Poultry Association, Izaak Breitenbach. Mr. Breitenbach, thank you for being with us. What are the implications for chicken producers in South Africa?
We're a little bit disappointed about the outcome of this. If we look at the specifics of the announcement, the first thing is that the minister actually did find that there was dumping. Secondly, he found that there was harm to the industry. And thirdly, he actually gave us a tariff. The only thing that concerns us is that this tariff, for a period of about 12 months, we will not be in a position to protect ourselves and therefore have to compete with dumped product.
You've been calling it dumping for a long time. So you're saying that there was no tariff in the past and there will be a tariff in future, but it's been delayed. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. And remember the definition of dumping is actually quite simple. It means dumping, to calculate the dumping margin, and that's what we've done in our submission, is to look at the price of a product in Brazil and compare that with the price that they sell that same product to in South Africa. And that dumping margin in the case of Brazil is 265% at present. We haven't had anti-dumping duties against Brazil and the 4 EU countries. From December last year until now in June, we've had provisional anti-dumping duties, but that has now fallen away and will only be reinstituted in about 12 months' time.
Sure. So you're saying Brazil sells its chicken here at an amount that's 200% lower, which makes it very hard for you to compete.
That's correct. The South African poultry industry is incredibly competitive. We produce the 6th lowest cost per kilo for any chicken meat in the world. And South African rands can't buy any chicken in the world cheaper than what we can produce it in South Africa. But if product is dumped, then we cannot compete. And we're against that. We're not against imports.
All right, and the minister has recognized this. It's been a contentious issue for years, but it is complicated when it comes to chicken, isn't it? Because so other markets don't like the brown meat, they like the white meat. That's why they can sell the brown meat, which has got the skin on it. And I understand things like the wings. They can sell it really cheaply here just to make something because they have no market at home. But we love that brown meat.
Right. We predominantly eat brown meat in South Africa. Brazil and the European countries predominantly would prefer the white meat or the breast meat of the chicken, and therefore they overproduce. It's not a matter that they do not consume that product at all in their countries. They just overproduce that product. I think what we need to look at here is food security for South Africa. In any country in the world, food security is always bolstered by home production and not by imports. And we've seen what happened during COVID when India put a ban on the export of rice because they were concerned about local production and food security. And this is a case where we need to argue very, very hard for food security in South Africa. And therefore, when we look at the tariff that will be suspended for 12 months, we look at that with this in mind. We will still be here after 12 months. We will need to do our business completely differently. We can't expect consumers to pay for tariffs. Neither can we let consumers pay for inefficiencies in our systems. And therefore, we will work towards that.
All right, that's good news because many are saying, okay, we understand you want protection for the poultry sector, but what about consumers? And there are millions of them who could benefit from this at a time when poverty levels are rising, hunger is rising, and many South Africans, because of this, will at least be able to eat chicken.
Correct. I think that there's a misperception that one needs to clarify. in terms of that. We are concerned about the consumer, and we don't determine price. Our customers, the retailers, wholesalers, QSR restaurants determine that. But there's a perception that if we do not have tariffs, then consumers get cheap chicken. That's unfortunately not true. I've already mentioned what the margin of dumping is. That margin we do not see in the marketplace. We do not see that very cheap imported chicken in the marketplace. We see imported chicken at exactly the same price as local chicken because all products sell at market price. So that is actually a misconception. I think the question then is, do we expect prices to reduce through the fact that we do not have an anti-dumping duty? And we don't believe so. We don't believe that because the price was not given through to the consumer, but landed in the pocket of the importer, there will be no difference in the price that we see in the shelf.
Final question though, could it mean that prices won't rise dramatically? I mean, there will eventually be pressure on the retailers to not push up prices given the pressures that consumers have right now.
A good question. We've seen price rises since April last year until December last year. Since then, the prices were really flat or not increasing or decreasing. If we ask the question whether prices will increase, we don't believe that due to tariffs, prices will increase or decrease. 70% of our cost in the production of chicken is made up of raw material cost or feed cost or maize and soya cost. So those are the determinants of the price increases. There's a second fact that one can mention, and that is that during December, when the provisional anti-dumping duty was granted to us, we haven't seen any significant price increase from that, and certainly not in a ratio to what the increase in the tariff for Brazil or the other countries were.
All right, and we'll see if we can put that to retailers as well. If they're getting the cheap imports, why is that not benefiting consumers? Thank you for your perspective, Izaak Breitenbach, SA Poultry Association General Manager.